You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Nick Sperry.
And I'm Andrew Kuba.
I'm Greg Kash.
We have a special podcast episode today. As you guys know, Greg is here. We're going to talk about, honestly, I think something we don't talk about as much anymore because we're a little more removed, quote unquote, from the pandemic, but online X-Wing and, it being the savior of the game and getting a lot of people to unify together from across the world playing X-Wing online. And we thought, who else but have Greg on to talk about online X-Wing. So,
Yeah.
Greg, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and thanks for moving it till later so I could do my bowling league without having to be like, "Hey, everybody, you need to move."
How'd you do?
Oh, that's fun.
Well, listen, I don't want to brag, but we're the first place team, and we pulled out another undefeated sesh tonight, so that should only increase.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome.
That's dope. Nice. Congrats. Awesome, man. Well, we'll definitely have plenty of time to talk about bowling, the greatest sport in the universe.
My grandmother was an avid bowler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. It's so specific. Your grandmother. So, your mom wasn't a bowler though, and
Nope.
You're not much of a bowler. Okay, but your grandmother was.
My grandmother was in the local paper in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. She bowled 300 once too. But yeah, very
Grandmother
very good bowler.
bowled a 300 like
She
back
did,
in the
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
When?
It was probably in like the 50s or 60s.
Really? With those
Yeah.
like rubber balls that don't hook.
Yep.
She bowled a 300.
Yeah. No, like she was in the
Wow.
newspaper and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I bowled my 300, I was in the newspaper as well, but like it's like common now. Like back in the day, those were super rare.
Oh, she was so excited about it too. Just to get into like I mean, I guess a little more detail. She ended up suffering from Alzheimer's when she was like later in life. So my dad had put together a book for her that was like the story of her life. And so when she could like read through that when she was having, more of like an off day. And when she would get to the part, she was like, I was a bowler. She got really excited because she's like, I love bowling. And then she was like, wait, I was good at bowling. And so it was always sweet whenever she got to those newspaper articles. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's dope.
It cannot be overstated how hard it would have been to bowl a 300 with like the technology in the balls they use back then.
Yeah, I didn't even really know like how bad it was compared to now.
Yeah.
I just knew the preliminaries of like lane waxing and how like if you're an experienced bowler, if you go on a lane that's like waxed for new players where it's mostly in the center, it can really throw you off.
Wow. Yeah, we could maybe there's an opportunity to start a bowling podcast, Greg.
We could do a spin-off. Yeah, exactly. This is the hard-hitting X-Wing content everyone comes for.
That's what everyone comes to the internet for. They're like, man, where's that bowling content at?
Yeah, well, if there's a few things you can go to you, Greg, on NCX for talking about tax evasion, of course.
Sure. Of course.
Bowling.
Yeah.
And your hatred for any sort of food that is, that Chicago claims as being Chicago food. Those are three guarantees.
It just makes no sense that a city that is otherwise perfectly fine hitches its wagon to some of the worst food choices on the planet.
It's such a take. I mean, we clearly disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys,
it's just
we could
so
spend a lot
bad.
of time on that back and forth. We could definitely go and talk about our favorite, why we love Chicago food so much. But I do want to address the elephant in the room that is X-Wing related, and that the fact that we kind of got a out of the nowhere surprise points adjustment. I want to say it was like a kind of a quasi like meta nerfing, like a light meta nerf points update. It was only a few things that they changed, but it was interesting.
I'd call it more a tweak than like a full update.
That's good. I like that. A points tweak. I wouldn't full on call it an update. If you don't touch a whole faction, it's not an update.
Yeah,
it's a tweak.
If you don't touch a
good.
bunch of factions, right? There was no changes to Separatist either. No changes to FO at all. Very minimal changes to Resistance. Basically, it really felt like they just put a target on Han's back.
Yeah, they were like, Han, you've become a menace.
Yeah. Han, they've I think they've nudged people to use the standardized bombers over the barrage rocket bombers now. I think just more just it's just an easy choice to make now, even if
Yeah.
before it wasn't that difficult of a choice to make.
Well,
It's
the
even easier
conspiracy
now.
theorist in me is they only nerfed Han because they're releasing the BOE. They want people to play the BOE stuff, and it doesn't vibe too well with having an 8 point or a 7 point Han going in there
Ooh.
dominating the meta. That's my like conspiracy city. I
I
have
was gonna
no
say that's an
proof of
interesting
that.
one. Yeah.
Again, no proof of that. That's just my thought process. Was they were like, everyone's gonna fly this if they fly rebels, but we want them to focus on some of this new stuff because we need to move some product.
I was gonna say some of the new ships that are coming out in Battle Endor feel very pushed.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to go on a huge rant about that. I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you,
I
Andrew.
honestly no, we're gonna do probably a full
Oh,
episode
we're
on
gonna
that when
definitely
it
gonna
comes
dive.
out.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of a dive into that. I just got I just got fresh off streaming 2 games for our team league. It's our final week of the regular season, and this last game was a really entertaining, crazy game, but with a 6-ship Republic board for this list. And it was a mass it was just a if anybody needs a video reference as to why it's so freaking good and kind of just broken, you could watch this game back because it was ridiculously strong in this game. But that's neither here nor there. What overall, if you guys were to give a grade, knowing here let me back up real quick with the optimistic hope that we get another more full scale points update in like May or June, what would you give this points tweak? Like, what letter grade would you give it? Greg, I'll ask you first, then Andrew. What do you think?
Uh, I don't want to be like harsh, but this points tweak is nothing for me. Like
Yeah,
it's a C. C my like
yeah.
it's just like fine, like cool, thank you, I guess. Thank you for releasing points of the ships that you want us to use. And an occasional tweak here and there. Like I don't like it's not like I hate it. It just doesn't move the needle for me as far as like a points update goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I would agree with that. I would say like C, C minus. I I feel like at the beginning of the year, Han was so meta warping that it created like the Republic arcs list and like around it, it created
It
the
literally did, yeah.
it created like a lot of the resistance lists that are out there. So I think it needed to be tweaked. This is so light of a like of a tweak because I feel like if you're gonna do Han, then that's gonna really leave a void for for Republic. Like I don't know what you follow it up with, because if you tweak Republic too hard, then FO becomes I think a real contender faction for being the best. So I think it was fine. I think it needed to happen. It did feel one sided though, where it was basically mostly centered on rebels as a faction for all the
I was
tweaks.
kind of just thinking that I feel like it didn't balance anything.
Yeah,
It
it just
just nerfed
Yeah.
like one specific
yeah,
thing. But for
Yeah.
me, I just think, and maybe I'm like, maybe this is just like I'm not good at X-Wing, so like this is just my thought process. But like the same thing you can put on, used to put on Han, I'll put it on Lando, and yeah, I'm shooting at one initiative lower, but I'm also coordinating while doing it. Yeah, I don't get the rerolls or whatever for being near a rock, but target lock focus still pretty good. Actually, it's better than Han's ability for your first shot. And your second shot, you're still focused. It doesn't. For me,
Yeah.
it's just like that's not a big downgrade. In fact, it might be an upgrade with Lando's coordinatability.
yeah. I mean, yeah. The only thing I can think of for like the i6 is that because everything like i5 I think is the minimum of where you really want to be right now, is
Yeah.
that those road rolls become more important. You have less information positioning wise if you're going to move Han. um
Yeah.
it's
I
it's a
mean,
better i6, but Lando is also fine.
it's gonna be the world of Lando, whether it's the standardized Battle of Endor Lando or it's the
Yeah,
21 loadout point, build your own Lando. Either way,
yeah,
Lando is gonna be
Yeah. I mean,
popular.
if you're dead set on doing the Bastion, the Bistan double tap, I really don't think like the downgrade from Han to Lando is like a massive leap.
No, I mean,
No, I don't.
you
Yeah, I
take
don't
it.
think so.
Yeah, you take it.
Yeah,
Um,
the
I'm sh
initiative matters a little bit, but I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
yeah, I mean,
sure
we could.
there will be moments where you would miss it. You'd rather have a Han, but it's not overall like breaking the entire archetype of the list.
Right.
It was kind of the same with like the one update they did for Resistance, where they took a load off point off of Zori, and they took a load off point off of Lulo, and it's like, you're missing a dorsal turret, and that's fine. Like, it's not, also doesn't break the archetype there.
For those that missed, I'm gonna, in the podcast description, I'll post the video. We did a live reaction. I did a live reaction and uploaded the replay to YouTube, so people could, like, we could go through, if you want to go through it on a pilot by pilot basis to see
Yeah,
everything that was changed. We'll link that. Basically, for those that maybe are like, we're talking so in such specific cases, it might be confusing as to maybe what the overall vibe of this point streak was. But TLDR, basically Han's loadout dropped to 15 from 20 so that he can't do Bistan Perceptive Copilot anymore. That combo alone is 16 points, so that doesn't fit. The Barrage Rocket Bombers sat salvo. So looking at Reimer and Tomax, they lost loadout so that they can't take bomblets, saturation salvo, and barrage rockets. You can only do barrage rockets and like marksmanship or some sort of cheap talent. And then for some reason, Zori and Lulo lost loadout and resistance, and I think Jess lost one, which doesn't really change her outlook at all.
Yeah.
But strangely, they looked at Rebels and said, okay, Han is a problem. They looked at Empire and said saturation salvo is a problem, and then they passed over Scum completely and didn't even, I mean, because it wasn't a buff, it seemed like this was
Well,
only
nothing in Scum
nerfed.
was a problem.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But because they've decided that we're only gonna nerf things and not buff anything, like, we'll wait for that to do that later. They passed over Scum, they passed over FO, which I think is a pretty balanced faction right now, and then they looked at Resistance, which I think is, like, you could argue is, like, middle of the pack, and we're like, "We're gonna change 2 things that do not need changing." And I thought that was really bizarre.
well,
That's
I have a
basically the
theory.
TLDR as to what they changed.
I have a theory for, I mean, for Jess anyway, is that because everyone was taking jamming beam, but no one was using it ever, and I'm sure someone just looked at it and said, you know what, let's just save a card space on the table and just not, make people have to
Yeah, well,
bring
I
the
don't, they're
card.
not concerned about card space though, right? Like, I don't know if I
I
can buy that.
that's my theory.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that one. I
It,
think
but
that's a little bit of a reach personally,
That's
but
my conspiracy theory.
yeah, I mean, you're not going to get many people to like grab the pitchforks for that conspiracy theory.
I think it's good. It was a good change. Because I wasn't using the jamming beam, so it's one less card I got to bring.
I feel like there's a little bit of psychology involved. Like the second anything gets nerfed, even if it doesn't actually impact it, people still have that in their head that this card got nerfed. So maybe
Yeah,
they're like, all right, we modify it and maybe we take the pick rate of these cards down a little bit. Just the way people think, like it's not.
yeah, yeah. It makes it look like you're doing something.
Yeah, I guess I'll just throw in my letter grade. I'd give it, I think a C is fair because if it were anything higher, then they would have made a lot more changes. And I think a C is just like, yeah, they didn't completely disappoint me, but they didn't nerf everything. If they were, some of the things they fixated on, they didn't use that same consistent logic across Republic. They, like,
Yeah,
Padme lost a couple loadouts, so she
Padme
can't
was
do
a
the
big
Pro
one.
Tour. But that
Hmm.
was the big one, but the only one. I would have, it would have pissed too many Arc 3 Arc 170 players off to see Oddball go up to 5 points, for example. So they just said, "We'll hold off. Worlds is about to come up. We don't want it to
Hmm.
get too crazy." Which is my
Yeah.
reasoning for not doing something like this right before a World Championship, just like waiting.
Yeah.
But
Honestly,
eh,
I
yeah.
was I was a little surprised they did anything but release the new ship points, like the
Same.
new stuff
well,
points,
that's what the
just because
trends
it's so
were.
close to
Yeah.
Worlds.
But Greg, like, the trend of like the last two scenario packs, they would not update anything else when these would come out. They would just say, "Here are the
Yeah.
points." So like, it
Yeah,
was a
Right.
pretty
that's why I
reasonable
was pretty
hill to try to
surprised.
die on.
I'm not like when I say it's a C, again, I wanna I feel like I get kind of labeled an AMG hater because I will speak out when there's stuff I don't like, and lately to me there's been a lot more not to like. Sorry about it, but like it wasn't like I don't think it was bad.
No.
It just to me it was wasn't an update. It was a minor tweak,
Yeah.
and I have it's just it was a C. It happened. It's there,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
fine with it.
Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, for me, I've been talking on the podcast. I think that this tweak was a long time coming. It was going to happen eventually because you got to do
Yeah.
something about Han and about like some of the other more beautiful pieces, I guess, that would be in like Republic.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately the abusable stuff is printed into a large card uh several times. So
Yeah,
it's just like harder to, unfortunately that's why as much as a proponent I am, this is a good segue into the Battle of Endor side of this conversation. As much as of a proponent I am of standardized cards, I run a list right now that has four standardized cards out of five. So like I'm not, gonna try to come off as a
Why would you
hypocrite, but
not? They're so
um,
strong.
they're really
that's the
good.
thing. So we're
I
gonna get
mean,
to that. Yes.
yeah,
So
I
hold on,
was.
real
Yep.
quick. Hold on. Is that the design space is even more challenging and very risky because of especially the approach they've had recently of over designing and getting a little too lazy with what they put into these, because once they're in there, they're there, and they have expressed even to me like they don't want to errata things if it's the last thing they want to do. So my question to you guys, as we open up the second part of the points tweak conversation with Endor coming out, is are standardized cards becoming too good? Like, and good meaning like just the power creep with what one single pilot can do. Is it becoming a little problematic? I think it is. I'll chime in after you guys though. Who goes first?
I mean,
I could.
yeah, you go, Andrew,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
go
yeah.
first.
I can go first. I was gonna say, even going back to the previous conversation, with the standard, the regular loadout bombers being nerfed, now that really didn't affect that many people because I'm also taking the new Deathfire. I'm taking the standardized Tomax Bren anyway. Like they're so good, even compared to the saturation salvo barrage rocket bombers. I don't think though they're becoming too good. I mean, I do like the design space with standardized cards where they can do things that would be outside of the normal ship chassis. And I honestly, I think it just comes down to where their points are in relation to their standard ships and standard loadout.
Well,
I
they're
do
they're
think
if it's
that
the same pilot counterpart, like that's where it
yeah,
gets like build your own Vader Luke versus the ones that actually get played. That's
yeah,
where
like
it gets
I mean,
complicated.
standardized Vader is right now, yeah, much better and easier to play because it's a cheaper point. Like I do think that they are being pushed by AMG and they really want you to use the new standardized cards. I can see of a world where the standardized cards, maybe in later metas or as they get older, their points start going up, and then we can reintroduce the build your own versions of those pilots back in. But I definitely see from initial release that these cards are very much pushed and hey, we want this, we like really want this to be part of the meta. I think you can see that with the TIE Defender with new Colonel Jedin. You can have a 5 die Pro Torp and it's 6 points. It's the
Oh
only
yeah,
6 point
proton
defender. And I
cannon.
think
Yeah,
that they're really signaling to the community, hey, we want to start seeing this in Empire lists. So I think it's too good. It's good initially, but I feel like they're not becoming too good, and I don't see them being problematic over time because I think
I
that those
I
more than anything are more
yeah,
easy adjusted than build your own.
I disagree, but go ahead, Greg.
Yep.
I also strongly disagree, but maybe for a different reason than you, Nick. I feel that they're so incredibly strong because if you take a look at like Soontir, right? Soontir Battle of Endor, 5 points. Soontir, like customizable, go to your town Soontir, 5 points. All right, no difference there. You're
Right.
thinking, oh, well, the Soontir, the focus ability and the bullseye really good, blah blah blah. But if you like to assign loadout points to what this Soontir Fell has for the
Hmm.
Battle of Endor, or battle is it Battle Over Endor or Battle of Endor?
Over
Battle over
Endor.
Endor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure. Um,
but
that's a
yeah,
choice. The 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 abilities on this interceptor, it's got to be like 30 loadout value worth of ability, where the
yeah,
customizable one gets 10. Like this is the ship is crazy. It's
it
great.
is.
Like it's so good. It's just incredibly good. And if you were to do like say take Vader, right? So Vader customizable, a lot of loadout, 21 loadout. You can get everything you really want
Yep.
on it, but how much of it is actually hate and afterburners is what, like 12 points? Is afterburners 8?
Yeah.
Afterwards is
Yeah, I think
8.
it's
Yeah, and then hate
Yeah,
is
and hate.
4.
Right.
yeah.
So that's 12 points, and then ion missiles is 3. So that's
Shield
15
upgrade.
loadout. So you get 6 more.
Yeah.
You get 6 more loadout points, which you're gonna spend 2 on for sure fire control. But then what else are you gonna put on that?
I feel like you have to put shield
Malice.
upgrade. If you're paying an extra ship point, you got to
Well,
put a
that well,
shield
that's a
too.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's not even. I That's a great point because I forgot that he gets a
It's
shield
got the shield
upgrade.
upgrade. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
So
like another 8 points
that's 21.
worth of value. Like it's just so honestly, if you think about it, they kind of have the same value, but the standard loadout is a point cheaper. If that's not better, I don't know what is. Like it's the same
Yeah.
ability, same everything, except unless you're a huge fire control system stan, I don't. Oh,
I've done a little bit of research here in the back end while you guys have been talking about this. I even for our live audience want to show you guys just kind of maybe the evolution of our scenario packs and our standardized pilots and kind of maybe talking about trends. So I'm going to start with Battle of Yavin, which is the first one that we got. Um, Really cool, thematic, fun scenario pack that introduced at the time a lot of a good balance of new standardized pilots with abilities that entered the meta. Some of them have stuck around and a lot of them are not really getting played anymore. So I'm going to start with Rebels. I'm going to highlight two of them specifically. Again, this is not not limited to these two, but just for the sake of this conversation, two T-65 pilots. We have Jack Porkins and Garvin Drace. So Jack Porkins, his ability is after you receive a stress token, you may roll one attack die to remove it. On a hit result, you suffer a damage. It's the same ability as the build your own customizable Jack. And these are his three upgrades. Advanced proton torpedoes. Cool. We know what that does. R5D8. What is that? That's a regen droid. Spend a charge for as an action to fix a face down damage card, or you can repair a face up for an action with a charge as well. His last upgrade is unstable sublight engines. Basically, when you die, you do a one straight boost, and then you maneuver rather, one straight maneuver, and then every ship at 0 to 1 suffers a damage. It's like Dead Man Switch after you do a one straight. Garvin has literally two upgrades. His ability, after you spend a focus token, choose a friendly ship at 1 to 3. That ship gains one. Same ability. Advanced proton torpedoes as well. We know what that does. R5K6, same ability with the R5D8 droid, except this one just has a different name. Again, action, spend a charge to repair face down or face up. Cool. That's pretty easy to wrap my head around. It introduced a couple of interesting things in the design space. They were popular with Rebel token sharing, coordinating, all that stuff. 4 points each. They were lower initiative. They seemed pretty fair. So at this point, the trend is for Battle of Yavin is like, okay, this is pretty easy to understand. Like it's, there's some new upgrades or different names, similar things that we're familiar with. It was kind of getting our feet wet with introducing these things, but there's a lot of sameness there too. Like new stuff, but some old stuff with new faces, new twists. Right? Can you guys agree on that? Like that's
yeah,
kind of
pretty
this the
pretty
vibe.
Yeah,
thematic
yeah.
as
No,
well.
yeah, exactly.
Pretty thematic. Right.
And yeah. I mean, even
Um
Siege of Coruscant too was a lot more tame.
Yeah. So, well, okay, so that's so yeah. So moving on to the next part of this evolution, Siege of Coruscant. I'm just going to do one pilot for Republic. Republic is really the menace of the meta right now in terms of this scenario pack. The droids, the CIS, they exist, but they're not nothing really too strong. They're there. They're fine. I'm just going to look at oddball. Siege of Coruscant oddball, same initiative at initiative 5. He is 4 points, and he the first thing you see his talent is selfless, a rebel only talent. So okay, we're gonna start giving faction specific talents to factions that aren't that faction. So selfless, you cancel crits if you're the attack arc. You basically suffer crits to cancel a matching result. Veteran tail gunner for the double tap, front then back, and then R4P astromech for decreasing the difficulty of your basic maneuvers. Pretty basic again. His ability, this is where it starts to get a little problematic for me, is that he has an ability. It says after you fully execute a red maneuver or perform a red action, you may choose a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 and an enemy ship at range 0 to 1. The chosen friendly ship gains a lock on an enemy ship. We're like, okay, well, that seems pretty good. We're not done. Born for this. While another friendly ship at range 0 to 2 defends. If you are not strained, it may spend your focus and evade tokens as if that ship has them. If it does, you gain 1 strain token. It's like, okay, so the upgrades are easy to wrap our heads around, but the ability, he has 2 abilities, and one of them is sharing tokens. Okay, seems pretty good. That's actually kind of a lot once you put it all together, and then triple it with 2 other pilots. Um, Bear with me, guys. I appreciate you listening to me mansplain. Lastly, going over to Battle of Endor. I'm picking on Lando for this one. This is where it gets a little nutty. 7 points, same price, different ability. Again, we're starting to see the abilities are starting to change here. Whereas Battle of Yavin was the same, Siege of Coruscant was similar. Battle of Endor completely different. You wouldn't even recognize them if they had a different, if unless they have the same name, which in these cases they do.
Yeah.
His ability at the start of the activation phase, you may spend 1 charge. He has 2 non-recurring charges. If you do, choose an initiative from 1 to 6. You activate at that initiative this phase. So I mean, that's really actually super interesting and cool, and seems kind of crazy. The fact that you get to just choose when you move during the start of the activation is pretty cool. Going to be kind of wild to experience that once I start playing it or against it. But then he has a
Yeah.
secondary ability, high stakes. After you perform a red action, you may roll an attack die on a hit or crit result, remove 1 stress. And his action bar is different now as well. He has focus lock, evade, red boost, rotate, red coordinate to red focus. It's like that's okay. So you could potentially white coordinate to white focus. Um, and then again, bear with me, guys. He has 5 upgrades. Ace in the hole, 2 charges at the start of the engagement phase. You may spend 1 charge and gain 1 jam token to perform a barrel roll action. 9 nub. You decrease the difficulty of your bank maneuvers. Same ability as the standard crew. 9 nub. Millennium Falcon title. While attacking or defending, if you have a non-lock red or orange token, you may reroll 1 die. That's a completely different ability than the standard title for the Millennium Falcon. It's a trap. While defending, if there are more other friendly ships than enemy ships at range 0 to 1, you may re-roll one of your blank results. And I'm not done. Aaron Kraken. Upgrade. After defending, if the attack hit, you may gain 1 deplete token to perform a bonus primary attack targeting the attacker. Oh my god, I'm exhausted from reading through all of that. Can you guys see a trend?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely stepped on the gas right after the bomber squadron pack. I think was when that came out was the first indicator that these ships were going to start getting nutty. And Battle over
Yeah, I didn't
Endor,
even talk about the bombers.
they're all they're all wild.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like it's a lot.
So we are all 3 people who have been playing this game for a while and know how to play this game. Can you understand? Let's shift our mindset for a second to being a novice player or a newer player or someone who's trying to teach new players. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Or God forbid you're playing against these ships and you have to remember all these abilities. Like there's going to be a lot of new players that are going to get got by Lando's I get to pick when I move ability.
It's so I don't like to. I mean, I'm trying not to do the whole in 2.0 versus now, but um because things were just were more simple in 2.0, I usually could roll up to a table with my opponent and kind of understand everything my opponent was trying to do with their list. At this point, it's not possible in my head to wrap my head around everything that their list can do. So I just ask them a million questions every game. This
Yeah.
stuff is the reason for that as well because it's just too much to remember. especially when they have the same names of things that already exist in the game, but different abilities. Like Falcon title's different. The action bar is different. Like I think things should stay the same. Like the action bar, for example. I don't know. They're playing with different ideas in the design space. Some of them I think are creative, and I think, if I were a designer, I'd wanna mess around with. Others, I think, can cause things to get really muddy, and then there are instances where things are just there's too much and are too good, all thrown into one pilot. Like, where do you stop? Like, with Backstabber and Mauler, it's like Afterburners, Predator, Afterburners, Crackshot, Discipline, we're done. And then this is like 5 upgrades on top of 2 abilities and a different action bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's again like, why would you fly anything else? Because like Jack Porkins Battle of Yavin, right? Like, yeah, maybe it's the X-wing at 4 points I want to fly, but like there are so many more options. Like I got an I-5 for 4 with Thane. I got, Kobe
Yeah.
and I can take an illicit. It's just like there's just it almost it's kind of funny how increasing choice kind of takes away choice almost. Because if you're actually trying to win, you have to take the efficient things in the list. Like you can't like
Yeah.
be ignoring all the efficiency that other players are getting.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like my
absolutely.
Soontir gains a
I
focus, your Soontir has 30 abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but,
And can
you
barrel
know,
or boost for free after they shoot. Come on.
like, this is where they have to control the points. So there's 2 ways that I can see having, like, more of these standardized ships with a billion abilities is okay. One is a meta that has fewer ships, so I think it's alright to have 40 abilities. If 4 ships is, like, the most that people are gonna usually be flying, and the other one is like either got to make these ships with a billion abilities a point higher where you're actually paying for that more efficient ship to balance it out later on. I think that this might just be a temporary thing where they want people to play with it and enjoy it and love it on initial release. I can definitely see all of these ships being
Oh man, I really
boosted
hope so.
in
It
points. I mean,
is
it
they
was the
haven't
same with Defender Vader when that came out. It
Yeah,
was
but this is
it was
standardized. This standardized
yeah.
card stuff is all kind of unprecedented because they haven't changed the points for any of them still, right?
Yeah,
Can
that's
you think
true.
of one standardized pilot that they've altered the points for after release? I don't think they have done a single one yet,
They haven't
right?
yet, but I mean, to be fair, it's
Oh,
only been
oddball
1
dropped.
season.
They dropped oddball down. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, guys. I guess the click went up to 4.
I don't know.
So
I'm very much over the it's only been X amount of time arguments because I've been hearing the it's only been for like 3 or 4 years now. It's been long enough.
yeah, I mean, so Andrew, I do want to say, like, I appreciate the optimistic. Like, I can be a pessimist about this stuff. I appreciate you being like, I think they want to get people to buy it and play. This is a business. We have to remind ourselves of that. There's balance in business. Sometimes are a conflict of interest. Um, like they want. I appreciate the optimism about. Oh yeah, they want to see how it. They want to sell it. They want to see how people. They want people to bring it to Worlds. They want to see how it does, and then they'll assess and make the changes. With the 20-point scale, changing a ship point from 5 to 6 or 4 to 5 or 3 to 4, whatever, is
Yeah.
just such a jarring
It'll
meta
kill it.
shift.
Right.
They kind of have no choice but to keep it the same or drop the cost if they're worried about it not being played or
Yeah.
getting
No,
it
I
to get
mean,
played.
that's what it is, right? Because if you make Lando 8 points, now it's unplayable.
And that's soon to your 6 points. It's like at 5, he's like, wow, he's like, he can do everything and he's fun, but
5
you can
is
still kill
awesome.
him.
6 points,
6 is, yeah,
liability.
same price
He's
as Vader. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I would love. I honestly, I think it would be really good for the game. They bring down build your own Luke and Vader the same price as the others and just drop their loadout to a point
Honestly,
where it makes it
that's
interesting.
what they should do. It's ridiculous that the build your own Vader
Yeah,
isn't the same points as the other ones because the other ones have way more loadout value, just like you were saying.
stapled in and a
So
shield upgrade for free, right? So it's like,
exactly. So
yeah,
there's no reason why the build your own Vader and Luke couldn't be the same price because people would
Yeah.
still take the standardized cards anyway.
So you as a player, you say that. Yes, I totally agree. I'm advocating for it. But as a designer, as Atomic Mass Games, the reason is, well, we want people to buy the standardized packs and
That's
play those
exactly what it
instead.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
again,
totally.
business and balance, they don't always, they don't always coexist perfectly. That is there's some great benefits to standardized cards and there's some serious drawbacks introducing them into the game in this way, the specific way,
Yeah.
because it basically forces people, as Greg said, more choice means less choice or more obvious choice to use one over the other. So yeah, I mean, I think to answer like are standardized cards becoming too good? The trend shows that they are, in my eyes, just looking at how things have evolved and the Battle of Endor stuff that we know about. Shield upgraded A-wings that can reload their prockets and fire 4 prockets in one game, stuff like that, for example. It's just like, oh, that's really good. And then you find out that they have 3 or 4 more abilities, and it's like, well, wouldn't that be enough? Like Jendon, I6 defender, can spend a shield to apply the range bonus. Great.
Yeah.
And has other abilities I can't remember off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
he could
No, they're
also
good.
he also has a proton cannon. It's like, well, is that necessary? Like maybe just
Well,
don't give him something like
he's a
it.
proton cannon that you can juice
Y-
up.
Yeah, you can spend a
Yeah,
shield to roll an
exactly.
extra
And that's
die.
why I'm like,
Yeah.
I just don't. And so I woke up the wrong side of the bed this morning and I went to the NCX X-Wing discussion chat to vent and bitch about how worried I was about Jendon. And a lot of people were being very reasonable, being like,
Oh,
I don't think he can take damage, he can take damage, he can die. But I'm like, man, like I just the thought of like half the stuff that people are playing getting one shotted by this defender because it's rolling a double modded 5 dice proton cannon
yeah,
is just wild to me.
I'm already trying to plug him in lists. I love defenders though, so
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yes, it's going to be very annoying
it's
to
gonna be
fly
fun
against.
for you and awful for anybody that has to play against
No,
it.
cuz I'm going to fly against him too. Like he's going to be a very real part of
Yeah.
our lives. But then again, these other Soontir and Lando are going to be a big part of our lives too. So, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
think they're becoming good. They're extremely good. That's for sure.
yeah. Man, it's just I don't know why I think today I just like I genuinely, guys, I lost sleep over this. What is wrong with me? Like I was like not sleeping thinking about like, man, like I just like really took a step back and thought about it. It's like,
It's
dude,
cuz you care too much.
Yeah,
I
I
care too
mean,
much.
You
I
care
care
I'm
about the
never
about
gonna lose
community.
sleep over this. Ugh.
No, I mean,
Kidding
yeah,
me?
I'm enjoying. I'm gonna enjoy. Like, I'm curious what the scenarios are because playing Battle of Yavin was so much fun. I love that scenario so much. It was such a cool
yeah. The
idea.
scenario looks really cool with the
Yeah,
Star
so
Destroyer
I'm just
bridge.
excited just
Yeah.
to play that scenario too.
Yeah. And you know what? Just ban them in any other form of play but the scenario. There you go.
To
Boom.
make you feel
Problem solved.
better, I did lose sleep over what list I was gonna build for Gen Con because I was so scared of Han.
Yeah.
That I spent all night
Yeah.
theory crafting lists and then ended up with resistance.
And then you like barely played against Han too, right?
Yeah, I didn't
Just
like see Han
always
at all, which is really
always the
funny.
way
Well,
that
I did, I
happens,
did.
right?
I played one game against Han, and then I torched it.
Yeah. Right.
But at that point, I
I
already lost 2 games. Yeah,
Now you're gonna have to be scared of just
of Jeddah.
Empire.
Yeah, or well,
Yeah.
honestly, if you can't beat him, join him. That's where I'm at with Empire.
But I mean, that is where it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it from like the captain's draft. Empire and Rebels were the two most picked factions from the captains.
And this honestly speaks to where they're choosing to do these standardized cards and scenario packs. I think more than anything is that they're feeding these factions through these standardized cards, but they're only picking Rebel and Empire and Republic, and those are the 3 biggest ones.
Yeah. And CIS on a technicality.
Yeah, I mean, but they need a lot of help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and again, we'll dive into this more.
Yeah,
It's a multi-episode
that
conversation.
is true. Yeah,
And I
there's
think it's
no.
at this point where some people were kind of dismissing this talk as like, "Oh, you're just anti-AMG, you're just a hater." This is a very real conversation at this point to have that is super reasonable. We all play this game all the time. Greg and I stream this game all the freaking time. If we hated the game, man, we wouldn't be in such a romantic
Yeah,
relationship and spending so much time with it. It's
that
just, but it's
We complain because we care.
just how much like just like imagining the amount of work we do with this. when people are like, "Oh, you don't even like the game." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is like a full-time job on top
Yeah.
of my actual job, and I don't get paid."
Yeah, honestly. It's not like it's a game that's got, like, millions of fans either where, there's a lucrative, streaming and content, like, side to it either, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I
It's
don't know.
pure love, like
I do want to shift a little bit into talking about the online side of the game as we had full access to all the things that we're complaining and singing our praises for on the online side of things. 2020 obviously feels like it feels like it was, it's a forever long ago fever dream that both feels long ago and feels like it was just yesterday. Somehow it's paradoxical,
it was
but
a
it
bad year for
works.
bowling.
A
Yeah,
bad year for bowling and for a lot
tell
of
me
things,
about
but
it.
Yeah.
honestly, probably the one of I mean, before the transition to 2.5, like, one of the best things for X-Wing, probably one of the best years for X-Wing, because it got a lot of people together in ways that nobody would have expected, thanks to, Tabletop Simulator, and before that, before COVID, we had Vassal, and we've had 2 mediums, not exclusive to those 2, but in terms of just the volume of people playing this game on those
Yeah.
2, those are the 2 main ones. Like Fly Casual, of course, shout out to Fly Casual as well, but,
Yes. Yeah.
either
Great
way, it
program.
kinda saved X-Wing and got, people to play X-Wing way more than they ever have because you have once a week, you go to the game store, sometimes you're busy, you can only go once or twice a month, you play 1 or 2 games. People are playing 5 games a day or more and playing stuff they didn't even own, being able to practice things and get casual games and join leagues. All this stuff was born out of online X-Wing. Greg, you said you'd played Vassal a little bit. You played X-Wing on Vassal?
Yeah, so, like, I discovered the game with you, like, we've talked about that before, at thing, but I learned actually how to play on Vassal.
That's so wild. I wouldn't have guessed that. That's interesting. When did you start playing?
I'm really, really bad with time.
I was like, that was the only way to play online for a while.
No, TTS was already a thing when I
It was
started,
already a
but,
thing too?
like,
Okay.
yeah, well, Vassal was a way to play, and it was, like, it was easier to, like, set up, like, it wasn't, like, such a thing, like, it wasn't like I didn't have to, like, launch TTS, going to it was kind of its own little standalone launcher
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was I liked Vassal, it was not a bad
It's like to me, it's like the chess.com of X-Wing. It was 2D
Yeah.
down. You had the little cackling little keyboard crackling sound effect when the dice were rolled.
Because if I'm not
Those.
wrong, I believe that Vassal started off as a Warhammer platform, and then they expanded to other tabletop games. The infrastructure wasn't initially set out for X-wing, but they were able to graft X-wing onto it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, and then we evolved. Tabletop Simulator has been around for a while, obviously, but
Man,
then
yeah,
the thanks shout out to all the amazing people who for free moderate and mod and created and designed everything to be able to play X-Wing on
yeah,
tabletop, and people shifted over to this much more visually appealing, three-dimensional, more immersive online way to play the game. And
I
we
think
just
Vassal was, like, more technical, but, like,
yeah.
if you're trying to replicate how it actually felt to play in real life, then TTS is, like, the closest thing you can online.
I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
And
um
TTS is my go-to when I play online now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Working with GSP, I helped with several of the Galaxies events. And, Dion Gold Squadron took on like a pretty big responsibility in being what they saw themselves as the one to kind of uphold X-wing and keep it going during uncertain times because the whole 2 week stay at home turned into years and you just didn't know when the end was in sight. And um you know at that point a lot more people, like I met Greg through Galaxies. He commentated at one point with Dio, and that's how I met Greg. Sam, with Candid Clarinetist at the time, he was streaming X-Wing all the time and was pretty popular. That's also how I met him. We all kind of came together. I love that Dion was kind of including different streamers and platforming them on his during his events. And I mean, these events, guys, like they pulled in like hundreds of people.
Yeah,
Like I think at one point, like a few hundred people from all over the place.
from all over the
Really
world.
wild.
Like, yeah, people are talking about, getting up at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. in their countries to get on and play these tournaments.
It was something else, man. And so Greg, like, I mean, we'll get in the draft league in a second, but like, what do you feel like there was a source of inspiration on like becoming like an online X-wing streamer, or was it like what kind of got you into doing that?
Well, honestly, what happened was my birthday is March 16th, and New York got locked down on March 15th.
Oh, wow.
So the first stream I did was on my birthday, and it was just born of I have nothing else to do. I had to cancel, like, I was having people over for like a party, and I had to be like, yo, no one can come. We're all gonna die if you come, so don't come over.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I really wish I could say like I watched GSP and I just knew in my heart that this was what I wanted to do, but it was more of like I've just always been super into tech, and I just got really fascinated by like all the technology involved in streaming and like the amount of production and stuff you can do, and especially in the beginning, especially like over the course of COVID, all these companies kept coming out with new and better things for streaming, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit now, but because streaming obviously got so popular over the pandemic for obvious reasons.
Podcasting too, yeah.
Yeah, just all the technology and stuff. I would say that was more the draw for me. It was like this whole new world of stuff I could play with, and I wasn't spending money on anything else because I wasn't ever going out. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, what do you feel do you feel like when you started doing it that like the audience reception or the few people that kind of trickled in at first, like on the onset, that was enough motivation for you, or like what really motivated you besides the fact that you couldn't really like go anywhere? Because like if you feel like you're wasting your time with anything, even if you can't go outside for a while, like you might shift to something else, right? Like
yeah.
what motivated you to keep going?
Well, I think so. I mean, if you guys don't know, like my background is a stand-up comic, so I had kind of done the whole performance thing for like caring about how much audience and stuff there was. So maybe just because of that, like having done that before, it wasn't all that important to me. Like I wasn't going to be discouraged by a lack of numbers
Yeah, I was
beginning.
gonna say, I've done enough open mics too to like, if there's 2
Yeah.
people, I'll
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah, there are 2 people in this call that used to do stand-up comedy, and it's
Yeah.
not
How
me, it's
many
you
yeah,
2.
like how many bar like open mics have you been to where they're just like the all the patrons are like, "Oh no.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know this was happening
Yeah, I
tonight." And
mean,
they
I
just
would
like
tell
leave and like it's
Yep.
awful.
I would tell other, like, comedians, like, don't try to get anyone's attention, like, you just talk to the people who are looking at you, do not try to, like,
Yeah,
inject
don't
yourself
fight it. You
into
just
their
have to
day.
accept what it is and go
Yeah.
at it.
But
And
yeah, that's saying, like, as long as one person's there, I'm performing, yeah, I get it.
yeah, so it's like years of my life I spent doing that. So in the beginning when it was 3 people and they were all like the group I played X-Wing with in real life before the pandemic, that was fine with me. And it just kind of, it slowly grew. And I think maybe the only thing that I did originally that kind of helped me out when there was the original like influx of everyone new was I was pretty strict about keeping a schedule. So like
Yeah.
everyone knew Tuesdays and Thursdays NCX was going to be live, like, and
Yeah,
that
you've done a
it
good
wasn't
job of that
really.
because that has been something I have failed at and just not taken seriously until more recently, and even then,
It's
sometimes
hard.
I can't
It's
make it.
super
It
hard.
is. It is, yeah. Especially when it's not like again, it's not lucrative, right? We're not doing this for
Right.
the money, but, like, it would be a lot easier if you were making money doing it, right? Like, yeah, it's like, that's why you go to work every day because 'cause you're making money. That's
Yes.
what keeps you motivated to go. Doing
That's the
this
only
at a
that's the
schedule
only
like
reason I
that.
have a job. I would not have a job if it didn't pay me. So
Right,
like
yeah.
uh but with streaming, I've always said that like I don't care if I make money, but I also don't want to like lose money hand over fist. And like if you add up all the equipment and stuff I've spent money on, like I mean I got to be in the whole thousands of dollars. Like
Oh,
just
dude, no doubt.
thousands.
I
but
mean, for
like
those of you
it's
guys
not.
wondering, like,
But you're getting the
laptop we
value from it, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But like the gaming laptop we use for our in-person streams, that alone was like $2,500, guys. Like, just like
yeah.
that's just the way it is. And I'm happy to
It's
spend that money, but man, oof, it's a lot.
it's so weird because like the laptop I use was $3,000, and like for most of the year it's my dice cam. Like it could be literally any crap computer. It's but the couple times a year you're on the road and you need that streaming PC, it's like the best investment you made,
It is.
like
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I brought it to LVO because I needed to do some admin stuff and it saved GSP's stream
yeah, that's what
somehow.
I'm saying. Like
Like, there you
just like
go.
imagine like imagine they didn't
Yeah.
have it and there was no coverage of LVO at all for that first day or whatever. I don't know. It's I don't want to talk about too much about money because I feel like every time I say it,
Yeah.
I just sound completely disingenuous.
I'm here. I'm gonna back you up though when you talk about it. I'm here with you to talk. Like, I got you.
No, well,
Like,
yeah, I
I
mean,
get it.
we used to we talk about this all the time, and then when Sam was streaming, we had our own little thing going on where we would just talk to each other about like
Yeah, that was great.
the trials and tribulations of it all.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the behind the scenes stuff.
But what's great is that so Greg, you go a lot further than I do, where you are you have a breakdown in one of your Discord channels about money and in money in, money out, what you spend it on, whatever. And like obviously, I think everyone appreciates and respects that. But I understand having that feeling uncomfortable. Everyone feels uncomfortable to some degree, I feel like talking about this stuff. But in this exact setting, like it is nice to know that everybody here who like watches what we do and like appreciates it, like they're like, no, like like we want to help you, we want to support you, like we appreciate you
Yeah.
doing this. And
Yeah. Well, I
it
just want people
alleviates
to
some of
know
that
that
anxiety.
I want people to know that when they subscribe, they're not just throwing money so I can have a cheeseburger. It's like I'm using this money to like make the experience better. Like, the money goes back into the stream. I'm not cashing out, and trust me, my father would love me to. He does my
Yeah.
taxes. He's not
Yeah.
pleased.
Yeah,
I mean, to
yeah,
be fair though, too, you also deserve a cheeseburger. Like I
Yeah.
hope that
Well,
you can
well,
also
here's my thing. I
use
make enough at my job that I can live,
right.
and
Yeah.
for me, this is a hobby. It's probably a hobby I spend too much time on, but it's a hobby
Yeah.
nonetheless. But it's still like for me, it's like a creative outlet since I don't do stand up anymore. It's kind of like the fill in there for me, like that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
same. No, honestly, it's the same for me. Speaking of this, I wanted to hear more about like the move from like the initial online events into like how'd you come up with the idea for like the draft league and the specific leagues?
Honestly, Draft League was. I really wish I could say it was some master stroke of like genius programming, but it was just kind of like I felt like things were dying down a little bit, and it was just a way to get like people involved, and it was a fun thing. It was something I've always wanted to do with because I'm just a big sports fan, so I really wanted to like kind of marry the idea of like sports and X-wing. And it was also like I kind of felt like it was something that really hadn't been done. Like team tournaments have been done, individual tournaments have been done, but I hadn't really seen like this kind of like structured league been done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
I felt like it was a niche that I could fit.
Maybe for those, I mean, most people are going to be are going to know what the draft league is, but can you just say like, what is the draft league?
So it's loosely based off like American team sports, although it draws from a lot of sports, mostly football, hockey, a little bit of soccer. But it's a tournament. We're up to I think 20 teams now, and actually you get drafted at the start of the year. So captains will draft you into a faction, and then you have your team. There's trades, there's draft pick trades, all that stuff just like any sport. And then each week your team will play another team in a best of 7 series, and we keep all sorts of stats, and we have champions, and it's grown to this whole big thing now.
How many people now?
It's 160 this season.
I was gonna say,
That's
yeah.
so
Well, I
that's bigger
mean,
than XTC, dude. That's
yeah.
the biggest online structured X-wing thing that exists,
Yes.
And with 20
is
teams, I
your
mean,
thing.
that is like an actual sports league.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first season was 4 teams, 20 people, and then it just, I think people found it fun. I think there, and this was like never the point, which is kind of embarrassing, but like I do think this is like a really good way for people to play X-Wing because you have like your own like support group there to help you. Like, I'm the only one who can see every team's like private chat because every team gets their own like chat in my Discord and whatnot. And it's just like it's basically like 20 small communities with people who are actually invested in seeing you succeed instead of just invested in getting their viewpoint across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I captained for 2 seasons, and I'm coming back to play again, and, I mean, you definitely played a huge role in inspiring me to do the 3-1-2 team league because 'cause we've done 7 seasons of online leagues for 3-1-2, but the team format is just so much more exciting, and it makes coping with losing better when you have people, like you said, a support group around to, like, get better at the game, to talk about your games, lists, just have that community. It makes it there's just a lot more layers to just like getting a casual game in. Like now you
I
feel like
think
you're
it
playing for
helps
all these
with
different
like
things.
burnout too. I
Yeah.
think because like if even in like a league where you're playing like a one on one thing, you're like, okay, I'm 2-4. What's the point of me going on? But if you're 2-4 and then the next week you have a big game and it doesn't matter you're 2-4. All you need to do is go 1-0 that week. You're more into it, you know? Like
Yeah.
it gives you more reason to be involved. Well, at the same time, if you lose, you know what? You lost one game in a series. Your team can still like you losing doesn't mean your team loses. So it's in a way less pressure and in a way it makes every week kind of its own thing where the last week doesn't really play into it.
Yeah. No, it's such a like I mean, I'm gonna put you on the spot. If there's any reason why you deserve some kickback um for your streaming and everything, it's this, man. Like the back end admin stuff and then all the intros and all the stuff that you do to keep this going in like a well-oiled machine that is on like that's punctual. It's insane. And I'm only getting a little dose of it with what I'm doing for our league, but to the scale and size of what what you're doing, I mean, and it's free. Everyone is free to play, which is awesome. I'm not saying it should be pay to play to enter, but yeah, like yeah, sub to NCX guys.
Several times people say you could like charge for it, but for me it's like what would to what end?
Yeah.
Like I don't first off, I don't want to discourage anyone from doing it. And even like $5 can't it, to I don't know
It's
everyone's
only
circumstance.
$5.
Yeah, but like I'm not like, I can easily envision someone who watches Twitch because they can't afford to go out that night. They don't have the $5 to go out and get a beer or whatever, like so
Yeah.
I never want
Absolutely.
it to be like that discouraging. Also, just like putting up the I don't know what I would do with the money. Like,
Yeah. For us, I let the players vote. I said, "You guys want prizes? It'll be this much money. We can pool in for prizes." And people voted, and that's just we did do pay. But we had a couple people that were like, "Oh, do I have to?" I'm like, "No, it's all right. You don't have to pay. Like it's fine. You don't want
yeah.
prizes, you don't have to pay. It's no big deal." But yeah, giving them the choice and putting the money towards something. Yeah.
Well, we do like the fundraiser, right? Like
Right.
not everyone in the league contributes to the coin and they'll get a coin. And yeah, like part of me is like, come on, man. But like another part of me is like, you know what? We raised it. Again, I'm gonna every time I've done the coin, I've lost a little bit of money, not a ton, just a little bit, just because shipping is so stupid. That's
Man.
I
Yeah.
have a whole like I know Nick feels me on this, but shipping is just the stupidest thing we've ever invented as a society.
Don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. And then things bounce back when you've paid the appropriate amount of money
Yeah.
for the
Or
postage
like you
anyways.
specifically pay, like they make you pay for these certain stamps so they don't run it through the machine or whatever. And the people get it and they're like, my envelope's torn, nothing's in it. And you see on the bottom, like the run through machine print scan on it. And you're like, but you made me pay extra at the
Yeah.
window. You told me I had to pay extra, and this raised my cost $250 so that
Yeah.
this wouldn't happen. And you have no recourse. I can't be like, I want a refund. That's not a thing with the postal service.
Oh, it isn't. I use those bubble mailers now. They're awesome. And that's one of the reasons why. Is like I can't take a chance anymore on this stuff. I already had a few of those instances of like bubble mailers.
Dude,
But it's
I shipped a bunch of coins. Like I got so lucky that people are very helpful, and I sent all the European ones to one person, and they're going to distribute them for me.
Wow, that's nice.
That was $60 in shipping just to send all those coins to one person, which is a lot. But like, if I had to send that individually to each thing, just the amount of time it would take to fill out the customs form for each coin would have been
I know.
tragic.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say I don't think there's any
Yeah.
Patreon that has European subscribers knows the pain of filling out those customs
Yeah.
forms.
I mean, we've gotten a bunch of new patrons, but they're all not in America. And I'm like, if you guys if you're in America and you want to sign up too, you can.
Yeah.
But,
Say, like,
Like-
I don't know if you guys want to move to America, just immigrate real fast so I don't have to do this shipping. No.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thankfully,
yeah.
everything
We're
is less
so
than an
easy to
ounce.
immigrate to. Yeah.
Flat enough that I could put 3 or 4 stamps and it doesn't bounce back 95% of the time because it doesn't weigh anything. But a
Well,
coin,
I'm literally
heavy,
gonna have to
dude.
take like a day trip to Canada to ship things in Canada just to save like a little bit of money. Because like
Yeah.
the international stamp is like 250 or something for the bubble envelope size.
At least you get a fun adventure out of it.
Well, I live pretty close, so like going to Niagara
Right.
Falls, Canada is not that big of a deal. But like, what am I going to be at the border? Be like, listen, I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm coming to Canada. You're not going to believe any of it. I run an X-wing stream. X-wing, it's a Star Wars miniatures game. Listen,
You have to
guy
start
at
with
the
what
border.
X-wing is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they paid
I
for these
so
coins.
this is somewhat related, but not to me personally. There's a small bit of southern Vancouver that is technically the United States, but you
Sure.
can only access it through Vancouver. And they have this little like peninsula is just filled with PO boxes because people in Vancouver get things from the US shipped there through Amazon
Smart.
because then they don't have to
Smart.
pay for any of the customs or the extra shipping. So then they can go to this little island and then pick up their Amazon orders and then take it to this little peninsula and then take it back into the city.
So
That's
smart.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, seriously. Um, getting back to quickly, just I know we're a little off topic, but still connected to the draft league. Like going back to it real quick. Did you when you first did season 1, which was it 8 teams, Greg? 4
4
teams, 2
teams.
divisions?
4 teams.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
only 4 total. 4 teams, okay.
Yeah.
And then it went up to 12, right? Or was it 8 the second season?
It went I know it went 20 to 48 players to 112, no, to 70 something, then 112, and now 160. I don't remember the
Got
Wow,
it. So it
yeah,
sounds like
that's
8 teams for season 2 if there was like 40 something
like
players.
exponential growth though.
Yeah, well, it started the first couple seasons it doubled, and I was like panicking.
Yeah.
So, okay, so speaking of, did you anticipate that like after the first season, based on like this, success and the fun that people were having, but on a small scale, did you anticipate that it had the potential to grow to be this big?
No, every season except maybe after the first season, I thought it was going to contract.
But you weren't willing, you like, or maybe not to phrase it as you weren't willing, but you didn't think about a cap on players on the size of the league.
No, the only time we cap the players is when it's coming down to the end of signups and like you have a certain amount of teams by then, you know what the ideal number of players is. Like in our case, we had 18 teams. We were going to end up with each team having 9 players, and that just wasn't very efficient. So by going to 20, we could go to 8 players each, and that gave us 160. So I capped it at 160. But that was like a week before signups were going to close anyway. It wasn't ever like the stated goal to get to 160. It's just kind of how the math worked out to make it even.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember when I talked to Pim about this, he's like, well, one of the reasons he's like, I think I'm pretty sure it was Pim. He said, well, Greg like started the draft league so he could like consistently, get players on stream, X-Wing games in.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Because that's
definitely
a
a
struggle, dude.
bonus.
Remember how hard it was to get people to play? When
Yeah,
we didn't have,
yes,
like, any-
it's. I mean, sometimes last season it was still a struggle. It is hard to get people to, because the thing is, like, people want a time, but I used to do times. I used to like the first like couple years I streamed, I used to do like, okay, game one, 6:30, game two, 8. But then game one would end at 7. And I'm sitting there for an hour on a wait screen or whatever. So now I've just been like, game two starts after game one. Game one starts at 6:30. I can't tell you a time for game two.
Yeah, just
And
be around.
it's hard to like get people to commit to that. And like I don't blame them, but it's also like,
Yeah.
come on, man. You know?
Yeah, but like, how are you gonna give content like for the game if you don't have content to stream? It's just I
Yeah.
feel like the one of the most brilliant side effects or benefits really of doing organized organized play online, whether it be me selfishly getting games from your league to stream on mine when I have openings that I need to fill. I know that there's probably people I can get on our stream, our own for you and your own, and vice versa. You stream some of our stuff. Like it makes it so much easier because people are actively looking for their games to be streamed versus you having to beg them to play on your stream. Now they're
Yeah.
like, I want my game on stream because I'm in
Well,
this league.
it's like it's a happy little side benefit, right? Because like their team wants to watch the game. Their team's invested. So you have two teams of people that are invested in watching this game already. So yeah, of course they want it to be on stream. And that is a good I mean that benefits us. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't. Like, yeah, so that's of course a great benefit. Is that I want people to play on my play. I want their games on stream, and I
Play on my
want
thing, play on my thing, watch my
yeah, it's
stuff.
the less work I have to do, like tracking down, begging people, like, amen.
So,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it also
Yeah.
adds it feeling more like a sport, like a sports event with teams and stuff like that too. That's just like making it into esports is very cool.
Well, I'm sure I've told you this before, Nick, but that's how I've always approached it. Approached like the casting is I'm like a sports announcer announcing a thing. Like I'm trying to be entertaining
Yeah,
while the game is happening. I'm not trying to be like there's how there's play by play and then there's color commentary. I'm trying to
yeah,
be
Yeah.
color commentary, not play by
It's
play.
all color
right.
commentary. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
why I took it even
there's
one
just
step
so many
further.
times you can be like, and Whisper goes 4 straight.
Boy,
Great.
there's so much downtime between rounds in
Yes.
X-wing though.
Yes.
That's
And
the
when
We're
when
thing.
preaching
and
to the choir there.
when people are taking, when it's like an important turn and it's a 15-minute planning phase, it's like that's a long time. You could talk about what everyone could do for 30 seconds, a minute, and then you have 14 or 15 minutes left still. I mean, like that's why, Greg, I took it even one step further. I like created these like standings animations, like I first did it with the draft league, and then I've done it for our league. I even put like a CNN intro to make it seem like super epic and like high stakes because I'm like, yeah, let's lean into that. Like let's be like do the color commentary and like make it this whole thing. And it's a show. Like we're supposed to have a good
Yeah.
time. Everybody can see what's going on in the game.
I think there is a subsect of people who really want you to like go in and do a deep dive on like the possibilities and be drawing on the screen and like X's and O's and stuff like that and strategy and whatnot. I think
Yeah.
like, and those people deserve to be heard as much as anyone else. I just don't think I'm the guy that's gonna be
Stand up
giving
comic.
you exactly the best information. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do always enjoy the random person who just doesn't know NCX is like, "Oh, it'd be nice if you guys like talked about the game," and everyone just like, "Nah, that's not what we do here." Like, no,
It's like
nah.
it's always like a YouTube comment that's like, "You guys didn't talk about the game at all." Be like, "Yep, welcome to NCX."
I mean, the thing is, people are talking about the game in chat. That's where you got to be on Twitch to get the
Yeah,
in-game commentary.
yeah.
Yeah,
In the worst case, just
it's.
mute
I
it.
mean,
But
it is. It's just with X-wing, like you're seeing the whole board. Like I'm not seeing anything that anyone watching is not seeing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like if it's Greg Olson in the booth and he's like looking at a football formation and he sees something, like he sees something that I don't see. Like he knows the safety is going to drop back and do that. And yeah, he can add insightful commentary there.
right.
But I'm looking at two ships of X and like we all know they're heading towards each other. Like
yeah,
there's no like
well,
cover
yeah.
3 in
The
X-wing,
game's
like
not. It's not that intense. Like it
it's
really is. Yeah,
It is strategy, but it's not like
Yeah.
how often are you, like,
Well,
shocked by a move? Maybe
oh, I
once a
mean, like
game.
the right. I mean, the thing, like, I mean, if it's closer to anything, it would be like football, but there's even more downtime in X-wing than in between like football play. When people are actually on the field, most of football is everyone sitting on the sidelines and discussing what they're going to do next in the huddle. Like, and there's also a lot more players and stuff going on. When you only have 5 ships, but you have about 3 minutes plus in between each like dials down to moving phase. Most of the game is just ships executing what they've done on the dial. You
Right.
know, right? That yeah. I mean, being entertaining is definitely a big lift that you're gonna have to do with the with the game anyway.
Greg, besides the obvious, like there's more people playing, there's more people in the Discord. Like, what is the overall? If you had to like summarize like the impact on the Nickel City X-wing channel, like that the Draft League has had, like what has really stood out?
I mean, it's kinda become the identity of my stream now, I think, right? Like,
What you're best known for, right? I
it
guess.
it might be
Yeah.
the only thing we're known for, like, I don't it's so weird because, like, when we talk about, like, growth on Twitch, I feel like we've kinda like, there was a period where like, cause like, when you're comparing it to COVID where everyone was at home and they had to, that was, like, a rapid period of growth, and then it kinda stopped when everyone went back to real life, and, like, I think you see it
Yeah,
across the board on Twitch, but especially in X-Wing, numbers went way down, and the only thing that's kinda kept the channel, even, like, keeping pace from where it was, has been the draft league. But I mean, like, again, I'm not complaining, but it literally takes up all of my free time.
Yeah.
It
I
just
mean,
it's just a lot of shit to do, and, like, I've
it is.
hopefully this
yeah,
season, like, automated a lot of it, so I'm hoping it gets, like, a lot easier. And shout out to James Ritter for helping me with that.
Yeah. James,
awesome.
Raptor Ritter. Like this ties into like the pitfalls or maybe the downsides of running a league this big. Like what do you feel beside I mean besides the fact that it's just like it's so time and intensive, like are there things that have come up that are just like I'm not saying that this should be soapbox or just complain. I know that we all have things that we're like, oh man, I wish this was easier, this is better, faster, whatever. But like what do you think are some things that are maybe not things to complain about, but are just like really challenging with maintaining this, not just for a single season in scope, but like continuing to do this for like however many seasons this thing goes
I
on
mean,
for.
it's just hard to like marshal everyone and get everyone on the same page. Everything would be like super easy if I said like this is like the format I need stuff in, and then people actually listened and did it.
Man, if I wished a pin post in Discord, where I like actually felt confident when I pinned a post that people would see that it was pinned and know where to look, I would feel like I would get a few more hours of sleep every week. Like,
Yeah.
you know that feeling where you're like, "Oh, I'm pinning this." Like people will be able to go back and see. It's like, no, I already know a lot of people are gonna ask the same question over and over again. I see it every like hour in your Discord.
Yeah. Well, there's small things that vex me a little bit. Like we have the captains each all have teams and stuff, and rightly so. They're represented by their team name and logo and everything. So like a lot of captains want to say and stuff, but like for me, it's like I kind of know what I'm going for, and I kind of know what like the vibe I want for each team to have. So when it doesn't line up with a captain, we're going back and forth. I have to be like a little bit of a dick and be like, "Hey man, like, do you see like every other logo in this league? How it has kind of the same design language and stuff? Like it's cohesive. I need everything to like fit into that. You know, like
Yeah.
I it's
Yeah,
just little things that
yeah.
like
I mean, right.
I'm like I don't have
Anytime.
time to like argue with you on this all day. You know?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There's always going to be just like a little bit of friction when it grows to as big as it's been.
Yeah, so my last question, because this is actually this episode's awesome. I love the format of this one,
Yeah.
how we're doing it. This kind of almost like an interview style. We do the
Just real quick,
show
are we
stuff,
gonna
and then we're
circle back to how bad Chicago food is though?
at the end. I'll give you a minute
Okay.
to squeeze it as much as you can and about how much you hate it. But my last question is like, do you have maybe not just specific to the draft league, but for Nickel City X Wing, like, do you have future plans? Is it just continuing to do this? Is there anything that you've been inspired by or would like to do? You had alluded to in the past doing more than X-wing. I know you have done that plenty of times before, but like anything that
Yeah, so I don't have like a vision board or anything, but I would like to do some Aerodome streaming. It's a new
yeah.
game that just came out. Uh it's I would say similar to X-Way. I mean, it's obviously very different, but it's similar in a way. And Star Wars Unlimited is coming out, which is a CCG from FFG. We have too many three-letter acronyms in this world. I say it's NCX.
312.
Yeah, I would like to stream some of that as well. Um, those are both things that are going to have a heavy overlap with a lot of people in who are involved in X Wing anyway. So it's not like a wild swing, and I don't really have any like concrete plans for anything with them other than I would like to do them. um, it really
Yeah.
just comes down to like how much time I have to do it, and like I'm not gonna obviously the draft league takes priority, so I'm not gonna like sacrifice. Like tomorrow, I want to do Aerodome because there's no point to doing X Wing really when the draft league draft is next Tuesday. But yeah, I don't know what that.
No, yeah.
I'm sure we'll come
So
up with something.
are there ways for any new people to get involved with this league, or when would the next season, or when could our listeners get involved if they wanted to try out for the draft league?
So you can still sign up for it, but you go to the reserve list. With 160 people, it's just impossible to think that we're not going to have drops
Yeah.
at some point in the season. Last season at 112, I think we had like 4 or 5 drops. So, we still need people for the reserve list and that's where teams are instructed to go first. So like say they each team has 8 players and there's only 7 games a week, so one player a week gets a bye. But say another player is like, "Oh, my dog is sick. I can't make my game." Then teams are instructed to go to the subs or reserve players to find someone to fill in from there. So you
Okay.
can still fill
Nice.
in and kind of be part of it. And that's pretty much the only way to be part of it right now. But like
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
you can
fair.
still like you're welcome to just hang out. Like the draft league general channel is not like locked. You can hang out in the league and be like a correspondent, find yourself a niche. Have
Or
fun
pick
with
a
it.
yeah, become a fan, pick a team.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would be
And there's merch.
I did
There's
show
merch.
my LA friends all the logos, and we have an Outlaws day one fan.
Oh,
Oh,
that's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to the Tinder gods.
As Nick's team, yeah.
Gone and mostly forgotten, but
Universally
I loved
panned.
that. I loved that logo. Yeah, universally banned. Yeah, it got to that point. Tinder support not getting back to us. So, that was yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, but
Couldn't get
this
photo
was a
verified.
Yeah.
couldn't get photo verified. It wouldn't work. Too many mass reports from bots. You know, that's what it was. Totally. But yeah, no, I mean it's a great conversation about the draft league. Definitely, if you guys, if you are interested, you should check it out. The Discord, NCX Discord is always popping. Like there's just so much going on. There's all these cool different niche places you can talk about. Your favorite hobbies, politics, your paint jobs on your ships, draft league, obviously everything in
Yep.
between, and also obviously X-wing conversation.
Also,
Um,
people are willing to talk bowling and food.
Yeah, the food takes are good. There's always a lot of
A
hot
lot of
hot
food
takes on
takes,
food.
that's for sure.
A lot of food takes both in the Discord and during the live streams. Um, where you can expect some great food in the Chicagoland area. This is my really bad segue, by the way.
Is it not
Is just
Schaumburg?
adjacent to Chicago. Schaumburg is a Chicagoland suburb that is home to Adepticon 2024, aka for us X-Wing players, Worlds 2024. The LCQ tickets are as good as sold out. I think there might be a few left as they expanded the number of people that could play in it. Andrew, I know you signed up.
Yeah.
But just for those of you listening, especially live right now, if you are on the fence or thinking about it, or we're holding off on doing it later, you got to do it now. You are running out of time. February 26th I believe, is the final the deadline for registration for the entire convention as well.
Do you
So,
love chain restaurants? May I recommend Schaumburg, Illinois?
dude,
Yeah,
yes.
man,
If
the
it's not
number one
Bloomington,
chain per capita for sure.
isn't that Bloomington though? Bloomington is number one chain
Bloomington
per
is
capita, isn't it?
the highest restaurants per capita, but not
Oh,
necessarily
okay.
chain restaurants.
Wow,
But
that's
yes,
wild.
Chicago has the highest bars per capita of any major city.
Well, yeah, you have to drink after eating that crap food.
Okay,
Oh, well, all
there it
right.
is.
So
There it is.
yeah,
You said that kind of
let's see.
off mic. You were kind of quiet too. Like you're trying
Yeah,
to like sneak that
I
in
was
there.
scratching my
Let's see,
foot, but
Greg.
I couldn't let
Yeah,
it go too long.
what issues do you have with Chicago food?
Oh God,
Literally name a
I'm
Chicago
literally
food, I
gonna
have
start
an
a
issue.
timer.
Let's go with the hot dog.
All right, the hot dog.
Let's
First off, the hot dog is a New York thing. Putting celery salt and
no.
sport peppers on it is not enough to make it Chicago. It is so stupid that you guys take something and you're like, look at us. Look at this stupid little celery salt because we can't afford real salt.
It's
We're so
harder to come by
unique.
than
We're so
regular salt.
great. Why that doesn't make it better?
So the Chicago hot
If
dog was
people
born.
wanted celery salt, it would be available in grocery stores
Good luck,
nationwide.
Andrew. Good
But
luck,
no
man.
one wants it.
It'd be nice. I mean, lots. Yeah. So the Chicago hot dog one, we got that from our German ancestry, which
You
and
got that from
Polish.
New
Like
York City. You
no,
got it from You think the hot dog is German, my guy? You think
it's
that
called the Frankfurter.
processed
It's called the
Yeah,
piece of
Frankfurter.
meat?
it's
You
Yes,
German.
it's
think
called the Frankfurter,
the
and it was
most
from
processed
the
piece of meat
Wisconsin
ever? You
Germans.
think is my
So
boy?
Chicago is home to the Chicago Stockyards. We have the largest meat processing facilities in the country, stemming back all the way to the early 1800s, or mid 1800s. The Vienna Beef Factory in Chicago is actually USDA factory number one. It is the first factory that was ever certified by the USDA. And
Is that the
the
first
Vienna Beef
factory
hot
where
dog.
all the kids died and they had to like actually create food standards?
Well, they were the first one. This would be after that process. I don't think that factory was built before like the Upton Sinclair novel, and that didn't take place in Chicago. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. But the Chicago hot dog itself was a Depression era food, and it
I
was
can
the
see
cheapest
why.
way to basically have a protein that had vegetables on it for most people, and that's really where it exploded in popularity. But I mean, we use the mustard basically because it was a lot more readily available from the German and Polish residents in that area. The Heinz factory is in Philadelphia, so ketchup has been always traditionally more of an East Coast thing, but that doesn't make it better or worse. But the Chicago style hot dog actually has like a history behind it. I think it's also cool that the sport pepper, which is the unique pepper that goes on the Chicago hot dog, is pretty much really an Alabama and Chicago pepper for the longest time.
Listen, making your food more Alabama is not a way to sell it.
I mean, having
Shot at
a little
Alabama
hint
there
of
at the very end.
Alabama, yeah, I don't, I have nothing against that state. The barbecue there is very good though too.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah,
This could go off the rails, but that was a good little way to tie the bow on this very exquisite and diverse conversation that we had about all these different things. So I'm
that's right. But
really,
also,
really
you can
good.
put ketchup on a hot dog. It's fine.
We give you permission. I wanted to
I
just
don't need
thank
permission. I
everybody.
don't ask cities permission when I make food.
No, you
You
shouldn't. You
should.
shouldn't at all.
You should consider doing it starting now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We are excited to see you guys at Worlds coming up
Yes.
soon. We Andrew and I will be there along with a few other 312 locals. We even have some world specific t-shirts that we put up on our merch store. If you want to check that out, we'll put a link in the description. Thank you to Strike, who has partnered with us for years now and is helping us create some amazing swag for our Patreon. You can use discount code 312 Squadron. That's 312 capital S and then all lowercase QUADRON for 15% off. Yeah, for 15% off everything on their Etsy store. Make sure you catch us on Twitch when we're live. Go and check out Greg's channel. For some reason, if you haven't been following his channel, Nickel City X-Wing, they stream X-Wing and other games. X-Wing always Tuesdays and Thursdays, as the draft is coming up on next Tuesday, or will have been a week ago once this comes out.
Yep, just a
check out.
5-hour draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long one. Yeah, I'm gonna tune in for a while until I fall
I mean,
asleep. We'll
it's
see how
kind
long
of the
it-
same as like those NFL drafts, so I think that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a
At
fun
least
day.
the NFL one split it into days. I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And then lastly, thank you to all of our patrons. I'm going to do quick shout outs to Mike, David, Dean, Digikind, William, Dale, Matthew, Adam, Brendan, Michael, Justin, Mark, John, Joshua, Daniel, Alex, Stephen, Matt, Peter, Andrew, and Scott. Thank you all so much for being patrons of 312 Squadron. Really do appreciate the love and support. You guys are amazing. Make sure you throw some of that love and support over to Greg as well. Donate 1,000,000 subs. Gift 1,000,000 subs. There you go.
A
Actually,
million
if you
exactly.
were to, if you had that money and you were like, I'm gonna give Nickel City X this money, just donate it. Do
Just
not
give it
do for
directly.
subs.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
donate
Don't
Do
do it
not
through
do it
Twitch.
subs.
Yeah.
Don't do it through Twitch. Just donate it. There you go.
Unless you, for some reason, think Amazon needs half of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're really
exactly.
hurting.
Exactly. You got it.
But yeah,
All right.
Greg, thank you so much for joining us today and taking time to come on our podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. It's fun as always. I mean, like,
Yeah.
listen, I'll sit and talk to you guys anytime. It's not a big deal.
Heck yeah.
Well, my name is Nick.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Greg.
Woo! See you guys.
Coach.